You know that feeling, right? You're facing a massive, complicated decision, and there are just so many variables, no obvious path forward. It can be totally overwhelming. But what if I told you there's a blueprint for that? A way to turn all that chaos into pure clarity. Well, today, that's exactly what we're digging into. Herbert Simon's incredibly powerful model for making better decisions.
So let's put you in the hot seat for a second. Imagine your company's market share sliding. The pressure is on, everyone's looking at you. What do? The first instinct for a lot of people? Panic. Jump at the very first solution that pops into your head. But the best leaders, they know there's a much better way than just guessing and hoping for the best.
And that's exactly where Herbert Simon's amazing model comes into play. It's a framework, a process designed to take all the guesswork and the chaos out of those huge decisions. It gives you a clear path, starting from just noticing a problem all the way to putting a solution in place.
So, what is this thing really? At its heart, Simon's model is all about a systematic approach. It's not about magically knowing the answer right away. Instead, it's about asking the right questions, in the right order. This framework is so important. It's basically the backbone of modern decision support systems, DSS. That's the powerful software that helps businesses crunch data and model different outcomes so they can make way smarter choices.
Now, the real beauty of this model is just how simple it is. It takes one giant, intimidating decision and breaks it into 4 smaller, much more manageable phases. And by tackling each one in order, you completely avoid that classic mistake of trying to solve a problem you haven't even really defined yet.
And here they are: intelligence, design, choice, and implementation. Think of it like a roadmap, okay? First, you got to figure out where you are and what the real problem is. Then, you map out all the possible places you could go. Next, you pick the best route to get there. And finally, you actually start driving. So let's break each of these down.
First up, we have the intelligence phase. And no, this isn't about having a genius-level IQ. It's about being a detective. You're scanning the environment, you're gathering clues, your data, and you're connecting the dots. The whole goal is to move from that vague feeling that something's not right to a crystal-clear, data-backed problem recognition. Because let's be honest, you can't solve a problem you don't truly understand.
Okay, next up is the design phase. Once you've nailed down the problem, this is where you get to be creative. The name of the game here is to generate alternatives. And I mean lots of them. Don't just settle for the first idea that comes to mind. Brainstorm multiple potential solutions. And, just as important, you have to decide how you're going to judge these ideas. What are your criteria? Is it cost, speed, potential impact? You gotta know.
And now we get to the choice phase. This is where you put on your analyst hat. You take all those brilliant options from the design phase and you start weighing them against the criteria you just set up. This is where tools like what-if analysis are your best friend. They let you model what might happen with each option before you actually commit to one. The goal? To walk away with a solution that's backed by solid evidence, not just a gut feeling.
Finally, we have implementation. Look, a fantastic decision is totally useless if it just lives in a slide deck and never sees the light of day. This phase is all about action. But, and this is a big but, it doesn't stop once you launch. The real key here is continuous monitoring and feedback. You track your progress, you see what's working and what's not, and you stay ready to tweak things. This turns the whole thing into a learning loop, not just a one-way street.
All right, theory is great at all, but let's make this real. Let's walk through an example with a company we'll call Technovate and see how this whole framework brings a massive business decision to life.
So, we're starting in the intelligence phase. The team at Technovate isn't just running around saying, oh no, sales are down. They've dug into the data and they see a very specific, consistent 15% drop in market share. They've identified the problem not as a symptom, but as the core issue: eroding market competitiveness. Getting that definition right is everything.
Now, moving into the design phase, Technovate doesn't just latch onto one idea. They brainstorm 3 totally different options. They could slash prices, they could launch a huge marketing blitz, or they could develop a brand new phone. And super importantly, they define their rules for judging these options before they pick one. What's the cost? How long will it take to get to market? And what's the potential upside for market share?
This brings us to the choice phase. Technovate brings in a decision support system to model the likely outcomes for each of their 3 options. And the analysis is crystal clear. While a price cut might give them a quick little bump, launching a new model, even though it's the biggest bet, has the highest probability of long-term success. The data, not a hunch, makes the decision for them.
And finally, implementation. The decision is made and the entire company kicks into high gear.
R&D, manufacturing, marketing, everyone is aligned and mobilized. But they don't just launch it and hope for the best. They're actively managing the rollout by tracking key performance indicators, KPIs, and they're ready to adjust the plan based on the real-world feedback they get from customers and the market.
So, now that you've seen it in action, why has this simple 4-step model stuck around for decades? What is the big takeaway here for you, whether you're running a company or just trying to make a tough call in your own life?
It really all boils down to this one simple truth. The model gives you a structured way to tackle any problem. It takes a situation that feels messy, emotional, maybe even confusing, and transforms it into a logical, step-by-step process that literally anyone can follow.
So here's the most important idea I want you to walk away with. Structure doesn't limit you, it liberates you. It frees you from that anxiety of, where do I even begin? And it lets you pour all of your brain power into the right phase at the right time. You can be super creative in the design phase and super analytical in the choice phase, all because you know you're building on a solid foundation.
So, I'll leave you with this to chew on. What's one recurring problem in your work or your life that just feels stuck? How might applying these 4 phases, intelligence, design, choice, and implementation, bring a whole new level of clarity and finally help you solve it?